Okay, so you've probably heard the phrase financial freedom tossed around a million times, right? But what does it actually mean? Most of the time, it just feels like this vague, far-off dream. Well, we're about to change all that. In the next few minutes, we're going to take that fuzzy idea and pin it down to one single, concrete number, your number.
So let's just dive right in with the big one, the most important question of all. Forget the vague estimates, forget the guesswork. We are going to figure out the exact price tag on your freedom. Because let's be real, once you have a number, you've got a target, you've got something to aim for.
You know, this quote from Sun Tzu really nails it. Getting to financial freedom, it's not about getting lucky with some random hot stock. No way. It's a strategic mission. It takes a solid plan, and you know what? Every single great plan starts with one thing, knowing exactly what your objective is. And that's the whole point, right? The absolute first step on this whole journey is figuring out where you're even going. I mean, without a destination, you're just driving around aimlessly. When it comes to financial independence, that destination is a specific number. And guess what? We're about to figure it out.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh no, here comes the complicated math. But trust me, it's not like that at all. It all boils down to a super simple, kind of magical formula. We call it the Rule of 25. And this little rule, it's the key that unlocks everything.
Okay, so where do we start? Right here. It all begins with what you spend. This is the foundation for everything else. The first piece of our puzzle is simply knowing, and you gotta be pretty honest here, how much money you actually need to live for one whole year.
All right, here's the second piece of the puzzle. It's our magic multiplier, the number 25. And no, this isn't just some random number we pulled out of a hat. It's actually the heart of a really solid financial strategy, and we'll get into why in just a bit. For now, just lock that number in your head.
And there you have it. You take your annual expenses, you multiply it by 25, and boom, that's it. That's your freedom number. I mean, think about that. This huge, life-changing goal. We just boiled it down to one simple bit of math.
Okay, a formula is cool and all, but let's make this feel real. Let's see it in action. We're going to walk through a quick example with someone we'll call Sandra, just to see how this whole thing goes from being an idea in your head to a real, tangible number.
So, first things first. Sandra sits down and tracks her spending. Her regular monthly stuff, rent, groceries, the usual, that comes out to 16,800 euros a year. Then she adds in those bigger, once-a-year costs, like a vacation or insurance premiums. That's another 2,400. So her brand total for the year, 19,200 euros. And now for that big aha moment. We take her 19,200 euros, we multiply it by our magic number, 25, and we get her freedom number, 480,000 euros. Now yeah, that might sound like a huge number, and it is, but it's not a mystery anymore, is it? It's a real, defined target she can actually work towards.
So, I bet you're wondering, okay, but why 25? Where did that number even come from? And that's a great question. It's not just magic, I promise, it's math. So let's pull back the curtain for a second and look at the really solid financial thinking that makes this whole thing work.
Well, the rule of 25 is basically the flip side of another famous idea in finance, the 4% rule. The concept is actually pretty simple. Once you hit your big number, you can safely pull out 4% of it every single year to live on. It's designed so that your investments keep growing enough to cover what you take out, meaning you hopefully never run out of money.
Okay, here's how the math works out. You're taking out 4% each year. But historically, a good mix of stocks, like an S&P 500 index fund, has returned an average of about 7% a year, and that's after inflation. See the gap? You're taking out less than what the pot is earning on average. That cushion gives your money a really strong chance to last, well, forever.
And hey, that 7% number isn't just something we made up. It comes from some serious academic research, most famously from a guy named Jeremy Siegel. He looked at over 200 years of stock market data and found this super consistent return of about 6.9%. So the key takeaway here is that our whole strategy is built on solid, long-term historical data. Okay, let's be honest for a second. Seeing a number like 480,000 euros, that can feel pretty overwhelming, right? But here's the good news. Financial freedom isn't an all-or-nothing deal. It's more like a journey. And just like any long road trip, it helps to have some smaller stops, some milestones, to celebrate along the way.
So, we can actually break this big goal down into 3 different levels. Think of it like this. Level 1 is basic freedom. This is the point where your investments cover just the absolute essentials. A roof over your head, food, getting around. Level 2 is intermediate freedom. That's the number we just calculated, and it covers your entire current lifestyle. And then there's level 3, ideal freedom. That's the dream, right? It's when your investments generate the same amount as your current salary, giving you total flexibility.
Let's bring Sandra back into the picture. For her to reach basic freedom, she just needs 270,000 euros. For her current lifestyle, that intermediate level, we already know that's 480,000. And for the whole shebang, to replace her salary, she's aiming for 600,000. See how that works? All of a sudden, that huge goal is broken down into smaller, way more motivating steps. That first milestone feels a lot more achievable now, doesn't it?
So how in the world do you actually get to these numbers? Well, the engine that drives this entire train is something called compound interest. It's that classic snowball effect. You know, you start with a small snowball at the top of a hill. At first, it grows really slowly, but as it rolls, it picks up more and more snow, getting bigger, faster. That's your money. The money your investments make starts making its own money. That's why people always say the first 100 grand is the hardest, because after that, your money really starts to do the heavy lifting for you.
All right, look how far we've come. We started with a vague, fuzzy dream. Now you have a clear formula, a step-by-step plan, and you understand the logic that makes it all work. You even know about the engine, compound interest, that's going to get you there. So really, there's only one question left. It's your turn now. Go on, grab a calculator, tally up your yearly expenses, and find your number. What is the price of your freedom?